Greetings. This is Adam Rafferty, funky fingerstyle guitarist from New York City, and I've got a lesson for you today on how you can play the guitar more musically. Alrighty, so tip number one is to develop your sense of melody. What I would like for you to do, what you can do as an exercise, is see if you can sing along with your own playing to get a melody orientation. So I'm going to take a real simple scale, half of a minor scale going up and down. Okay. And now I'm no great singer, but I'm going to sing at the same time that I play. I just want to demonstrate it for you. So here we go. Ready? Boom, 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 doo, doo. George Benson and many other great jazz guitar players sing along with melodies. The reason that I developed that was because I didn't want to let my fingers do the walking. I didn't want this to be a detached thing from my musical intention. And so this vocal quality will make the guitar an extension of your musical voice, I believe. So tip number two, develop your groove. Now I'm going to give you the most basic groove exercise. You're going to do a 12/8 African groove. You're just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, always alternating your hands. You're going to put an accent on the first one and the fourth one, so it's going to sound like back it, back it, back it, back it, back it. So just plain and simple. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you do that, and if you jam on a drum and maybe play along with some records, that's one kind of groove. Bang, bang, bang. You will start to notice that things on the guitar will fall into the pocket by themselves, and your touch and tone on the strings will also develop and go through some different changes. So that's one thing you can do to develop your groove. All right, tip number 3, developing your listening. This is going to look like a really easy exercise, but it's an inner exercise that I would like you to try. Play a G chord and strum up the G chord and put a little bit more volume on that top note. So if this was the melody note, we're going to have that come out a little further. Now I'm just using a bare thumb, and I'm strumming across all the strings, just like that. You can do this any way you want with your right hand, but what I want you to do is try to play that G chord and listen for the top note being louder, okay? See? So that's an internal exercise. There's absolutely nothing flashy about that. But listening to your own playing, making sure that the melody comes out, making sure that the tone is nice, active, concentrated listening as you play will certainly enhance your musicality rather than simply knowing you're playing the right stuff and playing without listening. Okay? Tip number 4. Develop your blues feel. Here's a good example. Let's say there's a pop song, an imaginary pop song. Somebody's doing a fingerstyle arrangement, and on the melody, the notes sound like. Now there is nothing bluesy about the way that I just played that. So there are certain things that one can do with slides, pull-offs, hammers. Let's add a slide on the first one. So just that slide makes it a little bit bluesier. Okay? And then watch this. Now, I'm not saying you have to do it my way. I'm just showing you how we can go from straight notes to something that feels a little bit bluesier. And then how about a hammer here? Tip number 5, developing your touch and tone in the higher register. So what do I mean by this? At a certain point, I realized, wow, there are some jazz guitar players like Wes Montgomery and Pat Martino who are getting this beautiful, bubbly, delicious sound on their high notes. And of course, classical guitar players also work on getting a nice bell-like sound on the high notes. It's pretty easy to always sound good on the low notes, but very often I'll hear fingerstyle guitar players in particular play in such a way, bottom sounds good, and the top sounds very thin, it sounds very scratchy. Thing is, it's easier to play fast with a thin sound, so there's a temptation there. Let me give you an example first with a pick. I've got a rather fat pick that I use for when I play single line stuff. It's a D'Andrea 1.5 millimeter. So I'm listening to the quality of sound. I want it to be smooth and bell-like and have there be a little punch. If I go back to the thin and pointy pick, you hear how that's not very satisfying? So I try to do the same thing with my fingers. Now, at the current stage that I'm at in my life, I'm using no fingernails. I'm using just the bare tips of my fingers. I can't play real fast, but so I try to get a punch and a bell-like sound. So if you pay attention to the attack of your notes in the high register, that will probably make you sound even better than you already sound. So, all right, let's go to the last tip. Tip number 6, practice slowly. Let me give you an example. I've got this tune that I play, an original tune called Vitamin E Blues. And there's a turnaround in it where there's a walking bass line and some other moving stuff. Now I'm going to just play you the turnaround. I got to go. It's in the key of E. So with all the stuff, here's the fast version. 1, 2, ready, and. And then goes on into the blues. In the practice room, it doesn't look like what you just saw. In the practice room, when I'm practicing slowly, it's going to look like this. Boom, bat, boom, boom, back. 1, 2, ready, and. And I might even go slower than that. I want to make sure that I'm attacking every note properly, that I'm relaxed, that I hear the bass, that I hear the melody. All these things, those can only happen if I practice slowly enough. All right, well, there you have it. Those are my 6 tips on how you can play the guitar more musically. I hope that you've enjoyed this. It's been my pleasure to give you this guitar lesson. And if you feel like it, you can visit my websites either adamrafferty.com or my guitar lesson site, studywithadam.com. Thanks for watching. God bless.